Welcome here we go. Welcome everyone to Victory Square. Bienvenue à tous à la place de la Victoire. Quana Dea, Quana Dei, Quana Lia, Quana Dei. We acknowledge that we are on the unceded traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. And we thank all chiefs, matriarchs, and brother and sister protectors and defenders welcoming us today. Hi, my name is Doug Poitras, ou Poitras, si vous préférez, and I'm your Director of Ceremony. This year marks the 101st year in a row that the citizens of Vancouver have gathered here as a community to pay tribute to their veterans and their families on Remembrance Day. The site of the cenotaph is significant because it was here that tables were set up at the foot of the old courthouse for Vancouverites to sign up for service in World War I. November 8th is Indigenous Veterans Day, honoring the service of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis veterans and their families for their sacrifices throughout modern Canadian history. We salute these patriotic Canadians. Please draw your attention to the striking banners and the light poles around Victory Square. You may have noticed many others recognizing veterans along the main streets of our city these past few weeks. They are up as a commemorative initiative of the Royal Canadian Legion and the Army Navy Air Force of Canada Association. Thank you for wearing a poppy and making such generous donations to the Legion to help fund such projects in honoring and providing other support to veterans. This year, we are commemorating several anniversaries of Canadian military and policing tragedy and triumph. This year marks the 20th anniversary in 2005 of the ambush of 4 members of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police killed in Mayerthorpe, Alberta. This is the 25th anniversary of Canada's unknown soldier from World War I being repatriated from France and laid to rest at the National War Memorial in Ottawa. In 1985, 40 years ago, Constable Giesbrecht of the RCMP was killed on duty in Vegreville, Alberta. It is the 65th anniversary of the start of the Canadian contribution to the United Nations mission in the Congo in 1960. That mission was the first robust contribution of forces often engaged in peacemaking. In 1950, 75 years ago, in a head-on collision between 2 trains at Canoe River near Valemount, BC, 17 soldiers were killed and 42 injured of the 2nd Regiment Royal Canadian Horse Artillery on their way to Fort Lewis, Washington for pre-deployment training for the Korean War. 2 Canadian National Railroad crew were also killed. 1945 was a big year with the 80th anniversaries of the Second World War's victory in Japan, victory in Europe, including the liberation of Italy and the Netherlands, of which Canada's contribution is still held to this day in reverence by the citizens of those 2 countries. It is the 85th anniversary of the Battle of Britain in 1940, in which the Royal Canadian Air Force bravely fought to help defend the United Kingdom from aerial attacks. In 1935, 90 years ago, 3 members of the RCMP and 1 municipal police officer from Saskatchewan were killed during the pursuit of 3 criminals running between Saskatchewan and British Columbia. This year is the centennial of the dedication of the Beaumont Hamel Memorial, honoring all Newfoundlanders who served in the First World War, the location at which a most devastating battle occurred. 110 years ago was the Battle of Gallipoli, a tragic defeat of Allied Australian, New Zealand, and Royal Newfoundland Regiment forces. Also in 1915 was the Second Battle of Ypres, the first major battle fought by Canadian troops in World War I, and the first large-scale gas attack against which the Canadian troops valiantly held the line. 125 years ago, in 1990, 2 significant battles leading to the end of the Boer War in South Africa were fought. At Lillifontaine, where 3 members of the Royal Canadian Dragoons were awarded the Victoria Cross for action the same day, and also the Battle of Paardeberg. Finally, this year marks the 140th anniversary in 1885 of the Battle of Batoche and the end of the Northwest resistance of the Métis Indigenous peoples of present-day Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Alberta. It is otherwise known as the Riel Rebellion. We would also like to recognize 2 important founding organizations who were part of the original citizens groups responsible for the creation of Victory Square and the Vancouver Cenotaph. They are the Canadian Club of Vancouver and the provincial chapter of the British Columbia Imperial Order Daughters of the Empire. Thank you for your commitment to honoring those who served and fell for our city, province, and nation, and providing the most beautiful venue of remembrance. We also appreciate the support of the Vancouver Board of Parks and Recreation for the respectful care of this cenotaph and maintenance of Victory Square Park. In a few moments, singers from the Vancouver Bach Family of Choirs, under the direction of Catherine Ewan, will set today's mood with a medley of songs for the special day of remembrance. Those of you standing on the south slope of Victory Square Park will notice that a large screen has been installed to allow an unimpeded view of today's event. You can use the QR code to view the program. We extend a generous thank you to all of the volunteers assisting with today's ceremony. Your wonderful citizens and your contributions are truly appreciated. In the event of an emergency, St. John Ambulance First Aid posts are located nearby, along with roving teams of first aid attendants. Today's ceremony is presently being broadcast by Global TV, and CBC and CTV have also joined the coverage. We would like to thank the American Sign Language interpreters to help us communicate to a wider audience. Now let us enjoy the voices of the singers from the Vancouver Bach Family of Choirs as they perform The White Cliffs of Dover.
World
Thank you for that most beautiful rendition of one of World War II's most memorable songs. The choir will return later. Please show your appreciation. The Vigil Guard has commenced its official guard duties on the cenotaph. Vigil Guards are mounted in most Remembrance Day ceremonies across Canada. Vancouver is the only known city that changes the Vigil Guard as part of its ceremony. The Vancouver Protocol incorporates the changing every 30 minutes. Members represent the Royal Canadian Navy, Canadian Army, the Royal Canadian Air Force, and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. This year's Guard Commander is Sergeant Mario Josipovic, Seaforth Highlanders of Canada. He was born in Banja Luka, Bosnia-Herzegovina in 1986. His family fled in 1992 due to the war and lived as refugees in Germany until 1999 when accepted by Canada to immigrate and becoming citizens in 2003 here in Vancouver, where they now live. In addition to serving as an Army reservist part-time, Sergeant Josipovic serves full-time as a Border Services Officer with the Canadian Border Services Agency. The members of the First Guard are Sailor First Class Azili Adam, His Majesty's Canadian Ship Discovery. Corporal Guevara, Seaforth Highlanders of Canada. Corporal Alex Knowles, 192 Airfield Construction Flight, Royal Canadian Air Force. Sergeant Gerard Poitras, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, E Division Headquarters. Let's please show our appreciation for the drill deportment achievement of these fine soldiers, sailors, air crew, and police officers. You've seen that under the direction of the Assistant Parade Marshals, the parade has marched and is still marching into position here in front of the cenotaph. Included in today's parade are members of the Canadian Armed Forces Reserves, regimental associations, veterans groups, brass and pipe bands, police, fire, and ambulance services, and cadets. There are numerous veteran organizations of other countries, including Poland, Korea, Italy, Ukraine, Philippines, Vietnam. We are also joined today for the first time by the American Legion, Cathay Pacific Post 186 from Seattle. We welcome all of our allied brothers and sisters in arms. Other Remembrance Day ceremonies are being held in Vancouver today at the following locations: Chinese Canadian Memorial, Japanese Canadian Monument, Grandview Park, the Royal Vancouver Yacht Club, South Memorial Park, the Seaforth Armories, and the University of British Columbia. At various times during the service, everyone will be asked to stand if you're able and be seated as protocols require. Additionally, please remove any civilian headdress when appropriate, according to religious practice and the recital of the traditional military prayer. Also remove civilian headdress during the vice-regal salute for the Lieutenant Governor, the general salute for the senior military and reviewing officer, as well as for the playing of O Canada, Last Post, the 2 minutes of silence, Lament, and Rouse. And finally, for God Save the King. As the parade completes forming up in front of the cenotaph, we will undergo the following sequence of events. Hand over the parade from the parade marshal to parade commander. Arrival and general salute for the reviewing officer. Arrival and vice-regal salute for the Lieutenant Governor. And commencement of the ceremony with the playing of O Canada. Please refer to your program for the full sequence of events, including wreath placement later on. Today's brigade commander is Colonel Paul Lindsay, Commander 39 Canadian Brigade Group, the Reserve Army in British Columbia.
Parade! Attention!
Please stand for the arrival of the two very important guests. Those wearing civilian headdress, please remove such as religiously appropriate.
Parade! Feel Pacific Fleet Commander General salute! Salute! Attention!
Please be seated. Please stand for our Lieutenant Governor.
Parade! To your Lieutenant Governor, Vice Regal salute! Salute! Attention! Stand at ace. Stand easy.
Elbow, rest. Close up on the tight band.
Please be seated and replace civilian headdress if removed. Canadians have fought in many foreign wars, United Nations and coalition operations, including but not limited to the Boer War in South Africa, World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Medak Pocket in the former Yugoslavia, and the war in Afghanistan. We salute all of our veterans today on parade, spectating amongst the crowd, and watching on television. We thank you for your service to Canada. We wish you all good health, and we thank those who care for you while we proudly wear our poppies to keep theirs, and most of our fallen, memories alive. We are grateful to Global TV Network for its generosity in providing coverage of today's Remembrance Day service here in Vancouver, and to the CTV and CBC networks for joining the broadcast. Solo singer Mr. Michael Horfett and the singers from the Vancouver Bach family of choirs, accompanied by the Vancouver Fire Rescue Services Band, directed by Casey Toms Burns, will lead us in singing our national anthem. The words are in the program. Please rise and remove civilian headdress as appropriate.
Thank you. Parade! Attention! stand at ease. Stand easy.
Please be seated and replace headdress. The changing of the Vigil Guard at the cenotaph will now take place. The second guard members are Sailor First Class Sarah Thompson, His Majesty's Canadian ship Discovery. Corporal Paige Pichet, the British Columbia Regiment, Duke of Connaught's Own. Corporal Daniel Chang, 192 Construction Engineering Flight, Royal Canadian Air Force. Constable Matthew Wright, RCMP, Detachment Chilliwack. The combined bands of the Vancouver Fire Rescue Service, the pipes and drums of the Seaforth Highlanders, accompanied by the singers from the Vancouver Bach family of choirs, will now perform the music of Dvorak and lyrics by Fisher in the song Going Home, a lament which expresses the nostalgic soul we all may feel. Please show your appreciation for this wonderful presentation of music. Each year, an original poem written by a Vancouver area school student is selected as the winner of the Cam Cathcart Youth Poem of Remembrance Award. This program is named in honor of Cameron Cathcart, longtime Remembrance Day Director of Ceremony and former chair of the Vancouver Remembrance Day Committee. Tragically, Cam passed away 4 years ago, but his memory lives on in perpetuity through the award. The student poetry program was initiated by Mr. Cathcart to ensure young people are connected to Remembrance Day. Members of Cam's family are with us today. This year, our winning poet is Angela Chen, grade 12, Lord Byng Secondary School. Her poem, printed in the program, is titled Alone Without a Goodbye. Angela will now read her winning poem.
Boots soaked of blood and rain, body stained by sorrow and pain. Alone he shall stay in the midst of blades. He no longer may rest without the sounds of gunshots, of grenades, or of screams. Young and scared he was, as warmth and wet seeped through his chest, as salty streams flowed down his cheeks, as her name spilled from his lips. And despite his wish, he shall rest with no farewell bed, no prayer given, and no name placed upon his face. No one would grieve till the war was over. No body would be found till years later. No coffin made, no grave dug, no service done for the soldier's son. Alone he fell in the drenched mud, alone until he became faceless, voiceless, nameless. Alone as his gaze grew distant, fixed, then absent. Then he shall fall, thrown trench to ditch, pained to numb, chaos to tranquility. Piled high, entangled limbs of blood and flesh, and red-stained green wolves. Then bones, bones of a son, husband, father, of he who could not say goodbye.
Thank you, Angela. Here to present Angela a City of Vancouver Certificate of Appreciation and Bursary is His Worship Vancouver Mayor Ken Sim.
Wow. Angela, thank you very much for sharing your incredibly powerful poem with us today. Alone Without a Goodbye has managed to capture a truly indescribable experience. The horrors of war, the sense of fear, desperation, and isolation felt by many young soldiers in their last moments. Through your words, you've honored everyone who's made sacrifices so we can live in peace and freedom. You've provided us with a window into their final moments, allowing them the recognition that so few have. You do truly have a remarkable gift for bringing those experiences and feelings to life. So Angela, you've helped us embrace the spirit of remembrance, and for that, we are incredibly grateful. On behalf of the City of Vancouver, I am honored to present you with the Certificate of Appreciation and the Cameron Cathcart Youth Poem of Remembrance Award. Now, this bursary is made possible by the British Columbia Regiment Trust and is presented in recognition of your powerful composition and your contribution to today's ceremony. Now, on a personal note, before I present this award, I do want to acknowledge every single person who's served our country in the past, present, and the future. Individuals that never came home, or individuals who came back wounded. People who are willing to put themselves in harm's way in foreign lands, away from their families, so we can live the freedoms that we do. On a personal note, I just want to let you know that every single one of you is a better person than I can ever aspire to be. And so on behalf of an incredibly grateful city, province, and country, we just want to say thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. And so with that, Angela, I would like to present you with the certificate and bursary.
Thank you, Major Sim. We also want to thank Vancouver Fire Services driver Chris Coleman for providing transportation today for our student poet and her family. Here now to offer the traditional military prayer of remembrance is Captain Reverend Kenneth Lowe. He immigrated to Canada from Hong Kong in 1992 as a student, soon thereafter becoming a citizen. And in 2016, he joined the Canadian Armed Forces, becoming the second Chinese chaplain in its history, and is now the longest serving in that role. Please rise and remove headdress as religiously appropriate.
Parade! Attention!
Captain Lowe.
This year marked the 80th anniversary at the end of the Second World War. I would like to use this time to express our gratitude towards all veterans and our deployed soldiers who sacrificed themselves for our country. Although I cannot meet all of you here, I still want to say this in front of your TV or your computer monitor. Thank you for your service in the past and present, so that we can enjoy this land today, free and safe. As we enter into a time of prayer, I invite you to honor this moment of quiet meditation or use this time for your personal reflection. Let us pray. Merciful and compassionate Creator, we gather today in gratitude and thanksgiving for the men and women of our Canadian Armed Forces and our veterans, who have served with such honor and sacrifice over many years and through many conflicts. They represent the very best of our country as they endure through the horrific experience of wars. May we ever be grateful for their selfless dedication, professionalism, and commitment. May we never forget those who have given us so much for our country. We commend them in your hands, O Lord of hope. Grant eternal rest to the fallen, your everlasting comfort to those who mourn, your healing to all who suffer, and your strength to all who serve. We ask your blessing upon this nation and upon this leader and people. Help them to work together for a more just and peaceful world. May their work protect our next generation and our loved ones, so that they may not see war again. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.
Parade! Stand up, ace.
Place.
Stand, easy.
Please be seated and replace headdress. To honor the heritage and resilience of our nation, we return now to Michael Horvat, accompanied by the Vancouver Fire Rescue Services Band, for the stirring song, The Maple Leaf Forever.
Dawnless hero came and planted
We are now approaching the place in today's program when we pause to honor the sacrifice of the more than 100,000 Canadians who have died fighting for our freedom. While the haunting sound of Last Post signifies the end of World War I, it has become a memorable symbol of every Remembrance Day. It was previously known as Armistice Day, and for the past 106 years, much like the wearing of the poppy since 1921. During the 2 minutes of silence that is to follow, we can all reflect on the past, the loss of friends and loved ones. We can also reflect on the present for those continuing to battle losses and injuries while remaining on guard for thee. And we can also make a personal intention for the future to contribute to peace. Following Last Post and the 2 minutes of silence, there will be the piping of the lament. This will be followed by Rouse, which will complete the tribute. Last Post and Rouse will be played by 2 buglers, Acting Battalion Chief Rob Peskett of the Vancouver Fire Rescue Service Band and firefighter Brian Wilgas, Surrey Fire Department. Pipe Major Sergeant Daniel Bell, Seaforth Highlanders of Canada, will play the lament, followed by the sounding of Rouse. In the distance, you may hear the howitzers of 15 Field Artillery Regiment firing the 21-gun salute from Alleluia Point. There will be 3 flyovers today. First, a Royal Canadian Air Force CH-148 Cyclone anti-submarine helicopter, followed by a flight of vintage aircraft from the Poppy Flight Group, and finally, the Canadian Western Warbirds. These fly-pasts take place every Remembrance Day to honor the memory of the over 10,000 Canadian aircrew killed and missing from Bomber Command or in fighter squadrons during conflict and on peace support missions. Following the tribute, we will be laying the official wreaths, and the first official wreath to be laid will be by the Silver Cross recipient, Sergeant Dennis Byrne. The Silver Cross is awarded to parents or next of kin of Canadian service members who have died on active duty or whose death was a consequence attributed to such duty. Today we honor Sergeant Mark Salesi, Medal of Bravery recipient, Royal Canadian Air Force, Search and Rescue Technician. Mark originally served for 8 years with the British Columbia Regiment, Duke of Connaught's Own, at the Beatty Street Armory here in downtown Vancouver. He deployed as a Reserve Force peacekeeper on Operation Harmony in Croatia, where he was promoted to Master Corporal, and for his actions was awarded the Medal of Bravery. Soon thereafter, Mark transferred to the regular force and joined the 2nd Battalion, Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry. And he served 2 more operations in the Central African Republic and Bosnia-Herzegovina. Mark was tragically killed on an ice training mission in the Rocky Mountains of Banff National Park, February 11th, 2015. May Sergeant Celesi rest in peace. Dennis is accompanied by Master Warrant Officer Ron LeBlanc, retired. Ron served with Dennis and Mark for years together in the British Columbia Regiment. Ron and Dennis also served together in Afghanistan, and the two together were instrumental in helping Mark's family deal with their loss and the arrangements with the Air Force in laying Mark to rest. Ron drove from his home in Smithers to attend today's ceremony and to accompany Dennis. These two gentlemen are a true testament to the bond of military service and with family. Please stand and remove headdress as religiously appropriate.
Parade! Attention!
Please be seated. The singers from the Vancouver Bach family of choirs will now sing the enduring World War I poem, In Flanders Fields, written by Lieutenant Colonel John McRae of Guelph, Ontario, a Canadian Army medical officer. Colonel McRae penned his famous poem on a scrap of paper in May 1915 in France, on the day following the death of a fellow Canadian officer, 27-year-old Lieutenant Alexis Elmer. During this time, the Vigil Guard will depart the cenotaph to allow for the placing of wreaths. Join us in recognizing an outstanding performance by the voices of the Vancouver Bach family of choirs. We are now about to begin the placement of the official wreaths. Would all official wreath layers please proceed with their usual dignified dispatch to stand in line next to the wreaths. This is only the official wreaths now. Wreaths will shortly be placed in order of precedence and as names are announced by the chair of the Vancouver Remembrance Day Committee, Robert Underhill. During the placement of official wreaths, the band and choir will perform an instrumental and humming version of Abide With Me. The placing of recognized and personal wreaths will take place later. The official wreaths are, first, the aforementioned Silver Cross recipient, Sergeant Dennis Byrne, representing Sergeant Mark Salesi, Medal of Bravery, Canadian Forces Decoration, Royal Canadian Air Force Search and Rescue Technician, accompanied by Master Warrant Officer Ron LeBlanc, retired. Lieutenant Governor of British Columbia, the Honorable Wendy Kokia, CM, OBC, Lieutenant Governor, accompanied by Aide-de-Camp, Lieutenant Commander Joseph Chidlow, CD, ADC. Veterans of the Royal Canadian Navy, Commander King Wong, retired, past President, Naval Officers Association of BC, and President, Lieutenant Navy Sergio Calido, retired. Veterans of the Canadian Army, Lieutenant Colonel James Barrett, retired, and Army Lieutenant and RCMP member William Whalen, retired. Veterans of the Royal Canadian Air Force, Wes Bowers, past President, Air Force Association, Major, retired, and Ian Whiting, President, 801st Wing, Royal Canadian Air Force Association, Captain, retired. The Government of Canada, the Honourable Gregor Robertson, Minister of Housing and Infrastructure, and Minister responsible for Pacific Economic Development Canada, and the Member of Parliament for Vancouver, Fraser View, South Burnaby. The Government of British Columbia, the Honourable Terry Young, Minister of Community Safety, and MLA for Vancouver, Yaletown. The Council of Corps of British Columbia, Ricardo Ariando, Consul General of Argentina in Vancouver and Dean of the Consular Corps of British Columbia, along with Alexandra Kusi, Consul General of Poland. City of Vancouver, His Worship Mayor Ken Sim, accompanied by Vancouver Fire Chief Karen Fry, and Vancouver Police Deputy Chief Don Chapman. Army, Navy, and Air Force veterans in Canada, Sergeant Jonathan Tremblay, retired. Serving members of the Canadian Forces, Captain Navy Sam Patchell, CD, Commander of Maritime Forces Pacific, accompanied by Chief Petty Officer First Class Armand Rilek. BC Yukon Command of the Royal Canadian Legion, Robert Underhill, President, and Dino Opperman, Vancouver Zone Commander. Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Acting Commissioner John Brewer and Sergeant Nathan Olson. Youth of Canada, Emmylou Wallace, Ranger, and Ray Ho, Scouts. Imperial Order of Daughters of the Empire, Francis Dixon, Provincial Communications Officer, assisted by Marie Crowther, President of the Boundary Bay Chapter. They are accompanied by Canadian Club, Rick Fisher, President, Canadian Club of Vancouver. '39 Brigade Group, Commander Paul Lindsay, accompanied by Regimental Sergeant Major Robert. As we near the end of today's ceremony, the following procedure will apply. After the singing of God Save the King, the official party will proceed to the reviewing stand on West Hastings Street. The band will move to the head of the parade. Following this, the recognized wreaths will begin to be placed at the cenotaph. Please stand and remove civilian headdress as appropriate for God Save the King.
Parade! Attention!
Just
right, stand that. Ace. Stand, easy.
Please be seated. The parade is about to begin and will march west on Hastings Street, passing the reviewing stand where the salute will be taken. Veterans will disperse from the parade after the Richard Street. The main elements of the parade turn north at Richards to Cordova, east to Cambie, then south and past the Cenotaph. Those wishing to watch the parade marching south on Cambie should remain in the Victory Square Park area. The recognized wreaths will now be placed at the Cenotaph. Those doing so, please stand by your wreaths. Follow the alternate red and blue walkways marked around the Cenotaph. Names of the individuals as organizations placing wreaths are not listed on the program and will not be announced. Please follow the instructions given by our helpful volunteers. Thank you for your cooperation.
Parade! Attention! Parade will move to the right in column of route. Right! Turn!
As the ceremony draws to a close, I'm reminded of the words of the poet and author, Robert Service, who had quite an appreciation of nature and spirituality. In his poem, Young Fellow My Lad, he captures the emotional struggles and sacrifices faced by families due to war. And so you'll live, young fellow my lad, in the gleam of the evening star, in the wood note wild and the laugh of a child, in all things sweet that are. And you'll never die, my wonderful boy, while life is noble and true. For all our beauty and hope and joy, we will owe to the lads and lasses like you. As the recognized wreaths are placed, we invite everyone to place your personal poppy at the cenotaph as a symbol of remembrance. Remember, if you want to see the parade, go down there on Hastings, or watch for it to continue or return back here to Victory Square. We extend our special thanks to the dedicated citizens with us today who have contributed to this community commemoration. The British Columbia Commissionaires, the British Columbia Regiment, City of Vancouver, Global Television, as well as CBC and CTV, Remembrance Day Parade Marshals, Remembrance Day Veterans Escort Teams, the Salvation Army, St. John Ambulance, Vancouver Bach Family of Choirs, Vancouver Board of Parks and Recreation, Vancouver Fire Services, Vancouver Police Department, Vancouver Remembrance Day Committee, and all individual Vancouver citizen volunteers. May you continue to enjoy the liberty our veterans have given us while remembering that freedom is not free. We look forward to seeing you next year as we commemorate the 102nd annual ceremony of Remembrance Day here at Victory Square. This concludes our 2025 Remembrance Day ceremony. Merci à tous. Thank you for attending.